You don't ignore red flags by accident. At some level, you notice them. Something feels off. A comment that doesn't sit right. A pattern that keeps repeating. But you push it aside. You tell yourself it's not that serious. That you might be overthinking. That it will probably get better. And you keep going. Even when that small feeling doesn't fully go away. Here's the shift. You're not ignoring red flags because you don't see them. You're ignoring them because acknowledging them would force a decision you're not ready to make. Because once you admit something isn't right, you can't unsee it. And that creates pressure. Do I address it? Do I step back? Do I walk away? And those decisions come with uncertainty. So your mind takes an easier option. It downplays what you're noticing, keeps things comfortable, keeps things as they are. There's also something deeper underneath it. Connection has value. Time, effort, emotion. You've already invested. So part of you wants it to work. You focus on the good moments, the potential, the version of things you hoped for. And that pulls your attention away from what's actually happening. Because it feels better to believe it can improve than to accept that it might not. There's also the role of familiarity. Sometimes what feels off is also what feels known. Patterns you've experienced before, dynamics you recognize. And even if they're not healthy, they feel easier to stay in than something unknown. So your mind normalizes them, makes them seem less significant than they are. There's also self-doubt. You question your own judgment. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I'm reading into this. So instead of trusting that initial feeling, you override it. And the more you do that, the quieter that signal becomes, even though it's still there. So the shift isn't about becoming hyper-aware of every flaw. It's about trusting what you already notice, that first reaction, that subtle discomfort, without immediately dismissing it. Because that feeling is information, not always something you act on instantly, but something you don't ignore either. And once you start paying attention to it, things become clearer. You see patterns sooner. You recognize what doesn't align. And you don't have to wait until things become obvious or overwhelming. And maybe that's the truth. You don't ignore red flags because you can't see them. You ignore them because seeing them clearly would require change. And change feels uncertain. But once you start choosing clarity over comfort, you stop overlooking what matters and start making decisions that actually protect you.